Real quick, guys. Today, let's talk about training, how men train. Not how boys train, but how men train. So, we'll talk a little bit about how boys train first. So, it was uh, not too long ago that I was training myself like a boy. That's probably going back, I don't know, I say not too long ago, maybe it's been like 10 years. I was training like a boy. What does that mean? That means I was training to go to the gym to look a certain way. And there's a lot of guys that do that, and you see them, and they train and they train for self idolization in the mirror to get their body to just look a certain way to impress themselves, to impress other dudes, and to impress women. So that's how boys train. And there's a lot of those guys that go to the gym like little boys and that's how they train. And they train for a season, right? They're not training for the long term. They're not training to be strong. They're not training to be men. They're training to reach some sort of goal. And then usually once they reach it, they get the girl or whatever it is. That's the end of it. Now, I've been training for, I don't know, 23, 24 years now, non-stop. I've trained both ways. So here's how men should train. Your training should be quick, right? Quick and hard. So I usually go to the gym and I don't bring a phone anymore. I just work out straight clean. So like nothing. No phone, no earphones, no audiobooks, no nothing. And I mean, I don't slight anybody that does like listen to an audiobook or anything like that. But it just like I found it. If I even do that, it takes away from the quickness of the pace that I'm setting for myself. So this is how men train. So men will train quickly. So my workouts, 30 minutes, right? And I'm going to be doing, I don't know, 18 to 24 total sets, probably three or four different exercises, a whole bunch of sit-ups in between just to stay strong. And that's it. And I'm out. I mean, I put it on an analog watch timer. And I'm out of the gym usually 29 to 30, 31, 30, 32, 30, 34 minutes, something like that. And that's the whole thing. Like I'm done. And I just lifted heavy weights. And I'll usually do that while fasting. So here's how men work out. So a lot of guys will be like, oh, I don't have the time to go to the gym, right? But here I'm saying 5 times a week, 30 minutes. You could find 30 minutes. You could wake up earlier. You can get home from work and just go straight to the gym. You can go take care of those things. You could do it on your lunch break. Fancy that. So think about it that way. The other thing is how men train too. It's not to train for the way you look in a mirror or going to the beach or have a vacation to, whatever, Aruba or somewhere, Jamaica. I'm going with my wife and, all this stuff. We want to look good in a bathing suit. Like, no, man. So train in order to be strong so you can protect your wife, your kids, your family, and then everybody else around you. And to look dangerous, right? Look like a guy that no one would want to actually approach. Like that's the kind of strength you want to carry. So that's how I would suggest everyone train. Now, I guess the question is why train in the first place? So I belong to that lovely laptop class of workers these days, and that's a soft class of people for the most part. There are a lot of dudes that do that job, and they're soft. They're soft in every way. They're soft. You get a soft body, your mind gets soft. Those two things go together really well. So your focus changes, the way you stand changes, like everything about you, like your posture, that letter C stuff. You start to see people like hunched over, their heads not back. That's from being soft all the time. Now, I've been training for 23 years now, and I train specifically not to hit any giant personal goals at this point or any of that stuff where I can turn working out into an idol. I train to be strong, to look dangerous, be able to carry my entire family out of danger and to protect them. That's it. That's why I train to be that man that can carry the burdens that life puts on me. I also train for the discipline parts. Now, if you think about it this way, a lot of you guys would have had very hard lives until things got real soft and cushy in the West, in the United States and a lot of the Western countries. You would have been waking up and going out to work and feeding the cows, the chickens, plowing fields, chopping wood, building things. You probably would have been ready to defend your place in the world if somebody came up because there was a little bit more of a Wild West and lawlessness. You didn't want to roll up on somebody's farm because that farmer, he's not a weak guy. He's been chopping wood all day and he's going to point a gun at you if you think you're going to do something silly. So let's talk a little bit about this too. Is from D. Re Military. I suggest all you guys buy this book, read the whole thing cover to cover. It is Vegetarius' history on battle, on making war. So let's talk a little bit about this. So discipline. Discipline was the cause of the greatness of the Roman Empire. Achieving victory in war does not depend entirely upon his skills or numbers or simple courage. Only skill and discipline will ensure it. Do you know what the gym gives you? Do you know what religion gives you? It gives you skill and it gives you discipline. When you're going and working out 5 times a week and carrying heavy burdens, even if it's only for 30 minutes, that's a very serious discipline. If you're attending Mass, you're going to church on Sundays, every single Sunday, and you don't miss any of the holy days, and you do all your prayers every single day, that gives you a lot of discipline. So your mind starts getting stronger, your body's stronger. Those two things go together. Let's talk about this. There's a lot of soft people out there. So the selection of recruits. So it is certain that every country produces both brave men and cowards, but it is equally certain that some nations are naturally more warlike than others. And upon that courage, as well as the strength of body, depends greatly upon the influence of different climates. So think about that. Those guys are out there and working hard in, maybe it's a desert area, maybe it's a very rural area. Those guys are just going to be naturally harder. They're carrying, buckets and rocks and stones uphill and building things. Like, it's just going to make a people more rugged. Now, we don't do that these days in our Western countries. So you need to replace that with lifting iron and being strong. You're just replacing something that is natural to you as a man. All right. So no one, I can imagine, can doubt that the peasants, right, are the most fit to carry arms, since they from childhood have been exposed to all kinds of weather, have been brought up to deal with the hardest labor. They are able to endure the greatest heat of the sun. They are unacquainted with the use of baths, so not a lot of luxury. And they are strangers to other luxuries of life. So think about that for a second. So if you're hardening your life, you are going to start to be harder in general, and thus a good recruit, a good soldier, a good protector of your family, a good protector of your realm. Now, everybody's got, especially here in the United States, they got their McMansions, their houses are nice. My house is pretty nice. The heat works, the hot water's there, it's super comfortable. So now what you can do is, maybe you were soft and cushy from childhood, as most of us are, and you have a soft, cushy life. You can invite suffering willfully into your life. Make things harder for yourself with food, with the exercise that you do, with the sleep that you get. Anything that you can do to kind of make your life a little bit more difficult on a daily basis gives you some self denial, and that makes you harder, makes your body harder, makes your mind especially harder. So you want to train yourself to kind of invite suffering in our beyond easy culture into your life. Make it harder on purpose so you could be stronger, so you could be a better man and father and husband, worshiper of God, and protector of your family. Let's talk more about the Romans. Signs of desirable qualities of troops. So when they're examining troops, and you're examining yourself, right? How you lead as a husband or father, if you're strong or not strong. Signs of desirable qualities of troops. Those employed, new levies, that means selection of troops, levies, make a careful examining of the features of their faces, their eyes, their limbs, enable them to form true judgment and choose such as are most likely to prove good soldiers, so clear eyes. For experience assures us that there are men, as well as horses and dogs, and certain signs which their virtues may be discovered. A young soldier, therefore, ought to have a lively eye, carry his head erect, his chest should be broad, his shoulders muscular and brawny, his fingers long, his arms strong, his waist small, his shape easy, his legs and feet rather nervous than fleshy, so not fat. When all these marks are found in a recruit, a little height may be dispensed with, since it is much more important that the soldier should be strong than tall. So strength goes a long way. So you're finding people of you want to be of the peasant class, and if you're not, you could kind of form that within yourself in our soft times. You could make yourself by self-denial part of that mental peasant class that could be exposed to hardship and just keep on trudging along, and to make sure your body is fit and strong. Now, if they're finding desirable troops that are fit and strong, they're not finding them from bankers and, you know, these days your cybersecurity folks, your folks sitting in front of the computer all day long. And if you do that, there ain't nothing wrong with it. But what there is wrong is if you're not training every single day. Now let's talk about new levies. So finding new troops. Choosing recruits. Regard should be given to their trade, right? What they do for a living. Fishermen, bird hunters, confectioners, weavers, and in general, all those professions who more properly belong to women should, in my opinion, by no means be admitted into the service of the army. So what's that saying about those folks? It's saying it's too easy, it's too soft. So what we say today, we'd say probably like laptop class of folks, your professors, things like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with those things, but you can supplement your soft lifestyle by, again, self-denial, building up strength, religion, and going to the gym to harden yourself. So pretty much, more or less, what I'm recommending to you guys is to cut out those 30 minutes, train hard, and you're not going to be able to keep the same pace as somebody who's been training for, a couple years or 10 years or 20 years can at the gym when you first get going. But you would certainly push yourself for 30 minutes. I don't mean 30 minutes of like you go on the elliptical, or I'm going to ride the stationary bike, or I have to do my warm up. No, go grab barbell and dumbbell and do the basic exercises. That's what men do. And train like a man. That means to train to protect your family, not to stand in front of the mirror and make an idol out of yourself or an idol out of your body. Okay? You can't do that because you turn it in on itself. Your wife will notice, or you guys got like a girl in your life, she'll notice that you're obsessed with yourself. And when a guy is obsessed with themselves, women find it disgusting. It's gross to them. So I'll let you know that too. Been there, done that. You might look exactly the part that you're trying to look, but any woman will see you worshiping yourself and she'll know you're a weak man. Strong men don't worship themselves, they just carry themselves. So go find 30 minutes. I'm out.